Hold up.
Yes.
All right. And I believe we are live. How's the video? How's the audio, everyone? Welcome to another episode of, well, it's not really market trading, and I haven't done interviews in a while. I'm just checking how this is going to go. And I think we're good. Let's pop out the chat. All right. We should be good. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Vays in action. It is freezing here in South Carolina.
It is. But for tone, I can stay in every kind of climate.
I know. Here's someone that has not been on the show in a long time. Welcome, Giacomo Zucco.
Happy to be back.
Must be cold for you as well. You have made your way down to El Salvador. You've been there for months. Tell us what it's like down there before we talk about what the hell it is that I'm wearing.
So Salvador is strange this year because it's like the first year I went there for just 1 week in 2021. It was the year of the overexcitement. Like there was a Bitcoin law. We were like a Bitcoin City announcement. Everything was crazy. Then the second year was the year of the overcorrection. Everybody was depressed because the price was down to 50,000 and there was no Bitcoin City yet and no bond and Chivo sacked and nothing worked. So everybody was a little bit, like disgruntled, a little bit burnout. This year, I think it was the year of the realistic expectation, the realistic average. Basically, I went around San Salvador with an actual queue of people entering into a Chivo center to change Bitcoin. It was strange for us. It was like we were looking at each other like, so actual people are using this stuff. People that don't even know how to read English Bitcoin Twitter, they are actually entering this queue to sell and buy Bitcoin. Right now, like supermarkets actually accept Bitcoin with Lightning without any problem. It goes consistently well. It works basically. It's still like the price is still under the expectation, so there is still not a triumphal. So Bukele is not really stressing the bet that he did. I think that the average price for El Salvador is 44,000, so they're still under the water a little bit. But I guess next year will be the year of the new exuberance.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully by the end of the year they'll be in the green. All right. Oh, I see Mechanic. Mechanic says don't see ya. Look outdoors. Okay. So real quick, let's talk about this. What am I wearing? This is the logo of Ocean Mining. You are involved with the company. Tell us a little bit about it. I am here at the private launch event. There was a live stream on Bitcoin Magazine. I'm so disappointed you guys didn't ask me to do it. I could have had more live viewers. I saw it, only 400 live viewers.
Next time, I'm not the marketing. You will actually have to.
I know you guys should have hired me as yeah.
No, you will bother Mechanic about that.
Well, let me go to screen share real quick. I have known about what is about to come for a while. It's so great that we finally get to talk about it. Let me go to this screen here. This is Ocean Mining. You are about to do a fireside chat with the one and only Jack Dorsey, who is the first and biggest investor in this company. And suddenly everyone became interested in investing, right? I bet you it's hard to get that first investor. And when your first investor is Jack Dorsey,
authority principle. Yeah, but that was very instrumental, not just the money, but also his face to actually give attention and give a spotlight to this idea.
Really, it's not as pretty as Luke's face. Come on.
Well, yeah, that's basically indistinguishable. Same beard. I mean, the same style. I may ask this to Jack if it was Luke copying his style or vice versa. So, what is Ocean? Somebody of you probably know that there was this pool, the second mining pool historically, one of the largest ones, Eligius, created as a hobby by Luke Dashier, and it was running until 2017. I was punting some very small butterfly labs hash rate to Eligius, and Eligius has some interesting characteristics. For example, one was that miners could see the block that was going to be created before it was created, so more transparency. You know if there is ordinal spam before you commit your hash rate. And the second point was that it was non-custodial, at least for the bigger miners. So bigger miners got paid directly into the Coinbase. And Luke just basically eventually stopped working on that. He focused on Bitcoin Core, Knot, and Blockstream and other things. And now Luke is bringing it back.
And if only we can focus on one thing and stick with it, right?
Right. It's so, but is bringing it back not anymore as a hobby, but as a real business with very good professionals, supported economically and financially by Jack Dorsey, and then another bunch of investors, including like very small investors like myself and real investors with a lot of money. So it's a great thing. And of course now Luke stopped working on the pool before his idea was completed. And his idea for the pool was to have miners creating the block with their full nodes and then sending it to the pool just to coordinate the payout. And that's now is called Straight on V2. Is the famous feature of Straight on V2. But Luke was the first one to promote it in Eligius. It's just that he didn't get to finish it before he stopped working on it. So Eligius is getting back to the idea of doing also miner side block templates, which is great, which is something that can prevent or mitigate censorship a lot and other nasty things. And and now, contrary to what it was in 2017, we have Lightning, so we can extend the non-custodial payoff to small miners with Lightning. We can do a lot of very funny things to Lightning, considering including like a secondary market of shares and very, very funny stuff.
Right. So real quick, as a summary, there are so many mining pools. Why would a miner want to mine with this pool? And I'm going to try to summarize it and you can fill in the details. So any miner that actually cares about the Bitcoin network should look long and hard at this pool. This pool removes the control of what goes into the block and the payouts of the block from the mining pool administrator themselves, and it's a direct pass-through to the person setting up their hash rate to mine with the pool. Not only is the miner themselves get to choose the transactions in the block, they also, there's no custodian involved to estimate how much Bitcoin they owe you. You get the mining reward fraction and the fee fraction, which also removes any KYC that most miners now have to do with the mining pool. And as Mechanic explained it in his presentation, it's kind of like these miners, they think they're miners, but if they're mining with the pool, they're not miners. They're just passing on hash rate, and it's like they shouldn't even call themselves miners.
Yeah. You made a strong point. The miners have no alternative to mine with this mining pool or similar ones in the future, because otherwise they're not miners in the first place. A miner is somebody that validates blocks, select blocks, create block templates, and then hash them, while these people are just renting blindly hash rate. There was a great image that they're probably hanging the picture somewhere now tonight. There are like slaves, blinded slaves building the hedgy pyramids. They don't know what they are doing. They don't know what they're building. They're just working because somebody else is directing the works. To be clear, this part of the block template is still not yet functional. So the phase one today was relaunching Eligius as it was, with a better UX in the website, but basically it's the same Eligius. So the non-custodial part is already there, but the secondary market part and the Stratum V2 template part is not that in production, but it will be soon. So that's the ultimate goal.
Right. And it's funny, the first question that came up from BTC UTXO, another KYC pool question mark. No, this is a non-KYC pool. And the only way to connect to the pool is to give them your Bitcoin address for your payouts. Otherwise, you can't even connect to it.
Exactly. There's not even an interface to communicate to the pool anything different from your Bitcoin address. That's it. And they will just be the interface to communicate your Lightning node when you will want a smaller payout, and that's it. There is no other interface, and there is a higher resistance to KYC imposition because they're not custodial. So the non-custodial part is not just because the pool may run away with your money. That's true. But the other point is that if the mining pool is custodial, the KYC pressure will increase on the pool. So giving away custodianship of the funds is also a method to remain more resilient to the KYC regulation.
All right, so there's two very important things. I was going to say there's one very more important thing to discuss, but it's actually two. If you end up reaching out to the people at the pool and connect your hash rate to it, please send them a message and let them know you heard about it from Tone Vays's YouTube channel. Okay. I want them to know that I'm help. I want to help. Like, I really want to help. So let them know that you came from here. I don't have an affiliate link. I mean, maybe they'll have one day, but it's not about that for me. It's all about helping the Bitcoin network. There's no affiliate link to click. So let them know Tone Vays sent you. If you have any questions for anyone on the team, I'll try to get Bitcoin Mechanic. I'll try
probably,
to get
I'm not sure, but probably with Stratum V2, you will be able to write Tom Vays send me in the Coinbase.
Perfect.
Not yet.
Oh, that would be amazing. And so let them know Tone Vays sent you if you're planning to mine with the pool. And now I want to talk about incentives and competitive advantages. So the way I see it is you guys have two competitive advantages. One, your two lead developers are like, I know every project thinks they have the greatest, developer that has ever been alive in the history of the world, but your two guys might actually be those two guys. You have Lukdash Jur, who is one of the most respected, like almost artistic like developer, which is incredible. And I mean that in a good way. He's the guy that turned SegWit into a soft fork, among several other things. He's just tunnel visioned into what will make Bitcoin the most decentralized protocol ever. And his partner in development is a guy that got on a call with Elon Musk in 20 minutes because he literally showed him that he can hack his Teslas.
Yeah,
and not maliciously. Like, he showed him, hey, you have a problem. I can literally hack your Tesla from my laptop.
Yeah, Wizard is very, very strong. And he's also like a legendary Bitcoiner as well. He was very famous on Bitcoin Talk. So it's not like somebody coming around right now. It was a legendary Bitcoiner in 2012 already. So yeah, it's a dream team. And also the non-technical part, the operational part, the marketing part, the lawyers even. I was impressed. It's a very, very good team. The people involved, I like them very much.
And the other competitive advantage you guys have is, for the moment, since the pool has just launched, for the first 8 blocks, I believe, you are paying double.
Yeah, basically, yes. It's like you're paying double because
the hardest thing to find is the first block.
Exactly.
The first block is going to be the hardest. And those that sign up and mine with this pool, the first 8 blocks will pay double. And then there is a period where you get 0% fee for a while.
Well, for a very long while. So far it's indefinite. We don't know how it's sustainable. It's not sustainable long term. But let's say that long term, this architecture of pool requires less from the pool because most of the work is done by the actual miner, and the pool is just intermediating the reward. So basically, there is less cost, less intermediation. So it will be probably competitively advantageous forever. But for a few months, it will be just free because the important thing is to reach a reasonable hash rate because of the payout model. And the thing you were referring to is that with your fixed hash rate, if you have an hash rate of X, if you are one of the first mining, and now your percentage of hash rate is way higher than the others. So initially it's overrepresented basically from the point of view of the reward of the blocks that it will be found. So it's great. It's a very good thing.
Yeah. So yeah, if you are a miner with I mean, look, even if you're running 1 or 2 miners, you may want to strongly look at this pool, especially if you're a medium-sized miner looking at this. I've been waiting for this for a while. Remember my presentation, what makes Bitcoin decentralized?
Yeah.
I was doing this presentation like 3-4 years ago, and I talked about Stratum 2 in that presentation.
True.
And I've been waiting for it to come into action.
And finally,
there's been a lot of, controversy over Stratum V2, that it was built by a team and then taken over by a team and proper credit wasn't given, which is common in the Bitcoin world, nonstop. And but something will finally, decentralize this mining process. And I'm really looking forward to it. All right, Giacomo, you can have a fireside chat with Jack Dorsey.
Now, so
I'm going to take a look at the Bitcoin price. When you go in, try to grab someone to come out.
Okay.
Hopefully someone from the Ocean team, or Bob Barnett, or a miner, or someone interesting. Yeah.
I will have to understand who is cold resistant enough, but I will try my best.
And just let them know, or maybe ask somebody to help you out, to bring someone out here, keep me company in the cold.
Yeah.
Freaking freezing here in South Carolina. You guys have no idea, like the sacrifices I do to bring you this. That's why I'm drinking alcohol. All right, let's go take a look at the price of Bitcoin. Is Lightning Network going to succeed or not? Yes, it has to succeed. The Lightning Network has to succeed. Otherwise, the shitcoiners win. Hi, how are you?
For a minute, or are you
Sure. I am filming. Would you like to say a few words in a live stream?
What's up, man? Right.
Where's your shirt? I'm wearing your brand. You're not wearing your brand.
I'm wearing my brand. It's thank God for Bitcoin.
All right, we got Bitcoin Mechanic, another former regular of the Tone-Based podcast. You can just hold that.
All right.
Yeah, you know, there's an easier way to hold that.
No, like I'm gonna cover
Like that.
the mouth. Like I'm going to cover the microphone.
That's the microphone.
All right, I see. All right, I'm gonna freeze to death. So, mine with Ocean. Thank you.
All right, so Bitcoin Mechanics. So you were with Start 9. We've had you on talking about Start 9. You have joined Ocean. Giacomo has already told us all about Ocean. So I guess we're going to change it around a bit. My audience already is aware what Ocean is. What is motivating you to work this hard?
Bitcoin needs it. I would work primarily on any project that Bitcoin requires. The current model, I don't know who saw whatever of this stream we just did, but the current model with mining is there are 12 or so solo miners and they hire hash rate to go out and LARP and pretend they're Bitcoin miners, but they're just rented hash rate. And they get paid a fixed amount of sats for just hashing and they don't care what happens on the blockchain and all that stuff. And this is not how you do it. Miners need to care what happens on the Bitcoin network. Simple as that. And they can't because none of the pools provide that as an option. So we're saying, come and mine with us, and we're transparent. You need to be, a big part of it is just the transition away from subsidy, 50 Bitcoins every 10 minutes, to transaction fee environment, because that's unpredictable. And you need a pool to be transparent in order to know you're not getting shafted. That's the main thing.
I actually learned a lot from your presentation, which didn't even have a presentation, but I did learn a lot, where I actually had no idea that when you join to mine with the pool, they are not actually paying you when the block is mined plus the fees. They have estimated how much money you're going to earn based on averages.
Yeah.
And they are paying you that, paying out that no matter what. And even if your hash rate is a little bit more than that, or if the fee is a little bit more or less, it's all been averaged and pre-averaged. And then every day, every week, they re-average it to make you feel like you're making more because you brought on more hash rate or earning less, but it's all been averaged. And the pool itself is the ultimate custodian. Not only do they choose what transactions go into a block, they also collect all that Bitcoin, hold it for you, and then pay you out from a different entity. And that's why there's all this KYC. I actually had no idea until I started talking to you a couple of months ago when you were telling me about this project. I'm like, holy shit, when can I talk about it? You guys were preventing me from talking about it for months.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're out public now and we can finally talk about it. It's pretty awkward because I had to explain what we were doing before Luke announced it. So explain, like, here's what a great pool might do.
And you have to explain it to people that kind of get it.
Yeah.
That also aren't going to blab it out everywhere. And you got to be careful with guys like me that have podcasts.
Yeah, sure. We had a few people leak it.
Hey, I am live. Let me, we have Aaron Van Veerdam, who you can't see in the camera because he's about 6'4".
Yeah, he's Dutch. So he's a very short Dutch man.
Yeah, how'd you like the event?
It was good. It was nice.
I'm gonna head in because I'm freezing.
Okay, so mechanic, I think I can finish up. I think
Yeah, nice little event, I would say.
I know you flew out all the way from Sweden?
Utrecht, Amsterdam, Netherlands.
Netherlands. Damn.
Yeah, it was like 14 hours in total or something. Yeah. Still very jet lagged as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get him, convince him to go back home and then come back for unconfiscatable or just stay in the U.S.
No way.
I
No,
know.
I
Don't
would
you want
stay
to?
then.
Don't you want to stay where it's warm? I think Netherlands is even warmer right now. Jesus Christ.
Well, the Netherlands is very wet and dark, so it's more depressing. Like this is maybe colder but nicer. Like it's at least not completely dark all the time. That's the worst part about Dutch winters.
Yeah, so the event was really cool. We were I got to get Bob Barnett over here. If you go, when you go in, if you see Bob, send him out here because we did a tour of his mining facility that's maybe a 40-minute drive from this hotel. This is one of the nicest hotels I've ever been to. It's one of the coolest hotels. If you guys go to my Instagram and you can check out the videos from this hotel, it's freaking incredible. It's like a geologist's dream. Like geologists and archaeologists' dream. Like this hotel is like a museum for geology and archaeology. It's freaking amazing.
Yeah, what did you think about the facility? You got to see how the cake is made, how the
Yeah,
cookies are
no, I
made.
thought the
What's
facility- I thought the
expression?
facility was really cool. I was surprised at, you know, and I don't make it sound in a negative way, and I'm gonna say it to his face as well, but not in a negative way. How small it was.
It was just one container, right?
I
Is
know.
that what you mean?
It was
Yeah.
one
It was not a
container.
lot.
It was one container of miners, maybe 1,000 miners, and it runs completely independently off grid. And what I mean off grid is he's not connected to the electric grid. The container of miners is on the edge of a small hydroelectric dam. So it's like a little river, and it goes through this dam that was built 100 years ago. It was actually built before electricity in order to just harness the power to make textiles. And then it was remodeled like 20, 30 years later to produce electricity. But it's an off-grid mining facility. He just connects it to the internet to mine the mining. So like the city or the country or the federal government, they can't pull a switch and turn off his electricity. And it's incredible. And that's Bob Burnett's thing, that more miners need to be completely independent and self-sufficient with their own electricity source. And then the network becomes completely unstoppable. And now with the launch of this mining pool, the Bitcoin network can finally actually be unstoppable. So what are your thoughts? What do you think? How much did you know beforehand? You probably helped Mechanic write that article for Bitcoin Magazine.
No, not at all. No, I did not. No, I didn't know a lot. No, yeah, the cool thing about the facility is that basically no one even has to know about it, right? Like they brought us there to show it.
Yep.
But other than that, he mentioned that basically no one knew about it. The people in that town did not know he had this mining facility there. So you can be this really independent, autonomous miner essentially without any reliability on anyone. Yeah, that's very cool.
All right, so we already got questions. Winston Alexander asks, hey guys, I'm a small home miner, just hearing about this pool. Well, actually everybody just heard about this pool as of today. You should check out the live stream that was streamed on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube account. Currently mining with F2 Pool and CK Solo lottery mining. Are payouts every block? Well, I believe payouts will be every block. Like again, Aaron and I are podcasters or like media people. Payouts will be every block once they actually find some blocks. Remember, it's a brand new mining pool. It's going to take them a little while to find the first block, but as more hash rate comes online, I don't see why payouts wouldn't be every 10 minutes. Everything is going to be fully automated and transparent, and they don't hold your Bitcoin. So when a block gets mined, that Bitcoin would pretty much get, I'm assuming it would get instantly distributed.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with this pool.
Yeah.
Like it's the payout comes straight from the Coinbase to every hasher.
Right.
Not every 10 minutes, of course, because there's multiple pools, so unless they have 100% of the hash power.
Right. I mean,
yeah, every time they find a block, you get paid.
Block is found, yeah, because this is a non-KYC pool, so they can't hold on to your Bitcoin, and they're not paying you with some other Bitcoin. That's the way normal pools work right now. They are paying you from here, and they're collecting the new Bitcoin here, so they're not paying you virgin Bitcoin. They're paying you Bitcoin that they have preset, or they have a big fiat account and they instantly convert that into Bitcoin on an exchange and pay you out with that. That's not what's going to happen here. they don't know your KYC information. They're going to collect the Bitcoin from the Coinbase, and then they're going to pay you out. So I'm assuming it's going to show up right after they find the block.
Yeah, you do have to wait 100 blocks before you can spend it. Then,
Guys,
of course.
this
Like
this
that.
mining pool is literally how mining pools are supposed to work. Like the way mining pools work right now is not how Bitcoin is supposed to work. Like, yes, mining pools were inevitable, and Satoshi probably didn't even see it happening, and mining pools came around. But the way you think a mining pool works is the way this pool is designed. Prior to this pool, that's not how mining pools work, right? Like in theory, a mining pool finds a block and it just passes all that Bitcoin and fees onto you. That is not how mining pools work today. It's not even close to that, except this one.
So you want me to see if I can find Bob?
Yeah,
Because it
see
is
if you can find
getting cold.
cold.
here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
go in.
yeah. So go see if you can find Bob or anyone else that's interesting.
All right.
If you spot Luke, if you spot Jack,
Oh yeah, sure.
Jimmy Song's lurking around.
Yep.
Uh,
I'll see
few
what I can do
others.
for you, Tone.
Perfect.
See ya.
And maybe another alcoholic beverage.
What do you want?
You know what? I'm gonna switch to wine. I'm a tequila snob now. Red, please. Coin Dad, get out here. Oh wait, I promised you guys Bitcoin price. I already forgot what my actual job is. Freaking cold. Wow, my fingers couldn't even click the mouse. Guys, it is literally about to snow here. And a bald head is not an ideal environment. All right. Have a seat, grab a mic. I'm just looking at the Bitcoin price. We are pumping back above $38,000. This is great. This would be the highest closing high this year, which would be absolutely incredible. We threatened to break this range earlier. We are breaking it now. I am once again very super bullish. We are 100% allocated to Bitcoin on our allocation chart. And I am going back to full camera to talk to CoinDad. How are you, brother?
Hey.
Your first time on the stream. I believe this is
Yes.
the man with the Bitcoin museum. All right, we're going to say a few words about Ocean and what brought you out here. And then we're going to, talk about you, because I don't think my audience knows who you are, brother.
Well, my name is Tobias, but they call me the Coin Dad in the Bitcoin space. I've been around about 7 years, give or take. I spent the last 4 years building the Bitcoin Mining Museum, which is the world's
All right,
largest
so let's
mining
go to
museum.
the Coin Dad. You got to change it to the Bitcoin Dad,
Bitcoin.
man. What happened? What, is the Bitcoin Dad taken?
What do you mean?
Twitter handle.
No, that's mine.
I know. The Bitcoin Dad. Did you secure that?
Oh, no, I have not.
Oh,
I didn't
you
think-
really should,
this,
man.
my kids were calling me this. That's how it came up.
Shit. I think somebody watching this will probably steal the Bitcoin Dad, but if you steal the Bitcoin Dad, please give it to the Coin Dad.
BitcoinMiningMuseum.com. That's the website for the museum.
Yeah, the museum is absolutely incredible. You have almost or every miner that has ever been invented.
I'm guessing I'm close to probably
You're about-
80% of all the SHA-256 machines from the beginning of time until now, yes.
Yeah, he's got some miners, man. I had my Avalon miner. I wish I didn't throw it out.
One,
No, it wasn't Avalon 1. It was one of the later ones.
the two.
And I had it up in the cabin. I ended up throwing it out. Oh man, there's Bob Barnett. I gotta steal him next.
You want me to go get them?
No.
All
It's
right.
okay. I'm gonna spot him. Man, I threw it out. I wish I would have brought it to a museum. This is the Tone Vays miner that he tried to set up on live stream and almost got electrocuted. Could have been in your museum, man. So unfortunate. But tell us more about the museum. You travel with the museum to
Yeah.
all of these mining events. Freaking incredible, guys.
I don't have
Absolutely
a brick and
incredible.
mortar yet. Maybe Michael Saylor will give me a building in Miami or something.
Ah.
But right now I bought a trailer dedicated to the museum, and I got custom built shelvings with foam inside so the miners don't break. And with that, I'm able to take it to the different conferences.
All
So
right.
I bring it to the people right now because it's not a brick and mortar is not going to help me anything because Bitcoin's not at that Nike or Coca-Cola name brand level yet.
So let's talk ocean real quick, because we both came out here. I mean, I got a conference coming up, Unconfiscatable, and yet I'm here because this is what's important for Bitcoin. What is your view about it? What do you think? You saw the presentations today. I don't know how much you knew before this day because I knew quite a bit, and I can finally talk about it.
You've been wanting to get to this point.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know the details of pools that much. I do understand decentralization, and that's a good thing. I don't know how much more this decentralized ocean makes the pool community. I do like what I heard about the Lightning Network part of it with phase 2, because that would help out for people mining from home and that have small payments to deal with. So, you know, dealing with Lightning Network on a pool, I think is pretty cool idea. As for ocean, I'm still have to kind of learn a little bit more about what's going on. I didn't understand too much of it.
All right.
I was invited here for me to show the museum. I brought the museum with me, so that's why I'm here.
Well, Jack Dorsey and Giacomo are about to speak. They're already 15 minutes behind. I want to grab a few more people. Any chance you can grab Hodl
Sure.
Tarantula for me? And as you walk that way, Bob Burnett.
Sure, I'll help you out.
He's our man of the hour. That was a cool mine that he took us to, huh?
Oh yeah, that was very cool.
And I'm gonna steal
yeah,
that.
Take that.
Perfect.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, guys, follow the Coin Dad and check out his museum.
Thanks.
All right. We got another awesome guest for you. Got Hodl Tarantula right here.
Salutations.
There you are. Wow. You're automatically right there. Look, I just go here. I don't even type your name in and you show up. Look at that. All right. Hodl Tarantula, one of our speakers on the mining panel over at Unconfiscatable next week. You are a specialist in off-grid mining. How cool was Barefoot Mining's little farm that they took us to this afternoon? What'd you think with the hydro off-grid mining?
I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. I love to see refurbished infrastructure come back to life like that and be put into purpose. It's a testament to what Bitcoin can do for the entire world. It's great.
Speaking of what Bitcoin can do for the entire world, it definitely needs some additional decentralization in the world of mining and mining pools. How much did you know about what Ocean was planning for the last 6 months? And if you didn't know anything and you now know, what do you think?
So I got approached by a Bitcoin mechanic a couple months back, and we spoke briefly about what they're building. And as soon as I found out the nature in regards to the mechanisms and how the pool is going to function in its architecture, I was totally on board, 100%.
Awesome.
It brings the control back to the miner themselves. So,
Right. That's what I've been saying. Like, Ocean is the first mining pool that is functioning how everyone thinks mining pools are functioning, but they don't.
correct. I mean, you're submitting your hash rate to another mining pool, and they're paying you out of a treasury
Right.
per share rate. But the thing is you don't know what they're doing with your hash rate on the back end.
Right. Plus all the KYC.
Yeah, having the ability to just input an address and walk away is phenomenally profound, in my opinion.
All right. I want to grab a couple of more people and give them a shout out. Any chance you can steal Bob Burnett for me? The man who showed us the mine, because I want to be there for Jack Dorsey's speech.
Yeah, Bob.
Thanks, brother.
See what Bob got to say. Good talk, Stone.
All right, let's look at some of your questions. Guys, fire away. Gary Garrettson, yeah, you are absolutely right. After this, I hope you learn a little more about all those mining pools.
It's a little different than the regular Bitcoin. Yeah, I feel like I witnessed history.
All right, Bob is coming.
realize that until.
Yeah, everyone's got a beard. Holy shit.
So I might crash this.
Oh yeah, please come. Grab one more chair, sit right there in the middle.
But I didn't bring a beard.
I know we got our first non-bearded, the first non-bearded guest. And we're gonna have Nico as well. All right,
Yeah.
Bob, we're gonna talk about you first.
All right.
You go Boomer. Where are you? Right there, Bob Barnett. Guys, Bob Barnett has an awesome YouTube channel as well. He has some like hot takes on Bitcoin mining that were incredible. I've tweeted out your video in the past. Bob has shown his little mining operation for the first time to anyone. It's an off-grid mining operation, not connected to the electric grid. It is hydro powered. You got about 1,000 ASICs there, I'm assuming.
No, it's about 132.
That's it? Wow,
Yeah,
I really
about
think you can stick 1,000
It's about
in there.
it's about a megawatt.
Really?
It's about
Wow.
A megawatt, yeah.
I guess miners got more efficient. I'm still like 4 years
Yeah,
ago.
these are-
when
these are-
1,000, when 1 megawatt is like 1,000 ASICs. Now
Well,
it's only
back-
100.
Back if they were S9s, if they were S9s, we could have crammed more in there. But you know, this is kind of a mid. They're about 2.5 years old. It's actually an unusual unit. I was just talking to the Coin Dad, the Bitcoin Museum guy,
I know he was just here.
and you know, we gave him one of the non-functioning ones for the museum because it's a fairly rare unit that we use there. So it's a 100 terahash per second unit, but it's 6,300 watts. So that, you know, that's why. Now, eventually we'll change that out and we'll go with, you know, probably in a year or so, we'll flop that out. But one of the great things about our situation is, as you said, Tone, we're off grid. We're mining on hydro. We own the entire infrastructure. Our energy cost is zero at that site. Outside of maintenance, we have to maintain this facility. But so we can take some of this older, less efficient equipment and still make it work economically.
And you actually host mining for other people. Guys, you guys know me. I don't trust anyone in the crypto space. Like, I am as skeptical as it gets. But occasionally there are people that I actually trust when it comes to certain things. So you will never, ever, ever hear me recommend hosted mining. And this is one of those exceptions. So Bob, you do offer some hosted mining. And if you do end up reaching out to Bob about hosting your miners, just drop my name. Again, I don't have an affiliate code, but just let him know.
Oh, well, thank you, Tone. I really appreciate that. I respect what you do, and thank you so much for all you've done to support me. But we do have very limited, it's not our main business, to be honest.
Right.
You know,
just want to help the Bitcoin space, which is why I'm out here in the cold talking about OSHA, which I wanted to talk about for months because I knew this was happening for a while, and you knew it was happening for a while. You were one of the first miners that said, holy shit, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And as I've been trying to explain for the last 40 minutes, this is the first mining pool that functions the way everyone thinks mining pools function, but they don't.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think anybody that watched the presentation today, I think miners really aren't miners. So what you think of as a miner, I won't name names, but all the big names, none of them are miners. None of them are miners. They are just hashers. And they are beholden to the pool, both to create the block template, which basically means they're deciding who is what transactions are going in the blocks, number one. And number two, they're not transparent about that. You don't know what transactions they picked until after the block has been mined. You actually have no idea how much hash power they have and what percentage of their hash power you are. So you really don't know whether or not you're being paid the adequate amount. And even when you get paid, you're actually not getting paid from your mining. So they take all the money from the Coinbase, which is from the block itself. Money goes from them, from the Coinbase to the pool, to a pool Bitcoin account. And then usually, and then from a completely separate account, they pay the miners, meaning the miners are just renting hash power to the pools. And the world is being really run through those about a dozen pools today, which, and actually even of those, 5 of them have 85% of the hash. So
Right.
what we're doing.
And some of those 5 are actually the same company that split it up into multiple pools to be slick.
Yes, to try to not appear as too big,
Right.
right, and scare people.
Everyone
about
remembers
51%.
ghash.io. I remember ghash.io so well.
But what I find interesting is, I personally, I don't lose sleep over, for instance, 51% attack. I don't think that is a likely attack vector.
I
right
never
now,
did either.
But censorship is a real attack vector.
Correct.
And it's not hypothetical. In fact, I'm going to name names. Like, I am aghast by what F2 Pool did. So F2 Pool last week.
Oh, I don't know about this.
F2 Pool last week got called out for censoring transactions.
Not surprised.
And then after getting called out, they admitted that they were censoring, that they were essentially complying with OFAC, and said, hey, we do not want to process transactions for dictators and tyrants and criminals. By the way,
which is a subjective
which is a
view.
subjective.
You know what's interesting though is that the quote unquote criminals, that's the same rhetoric that to put it nicely, the US Treasury has been using for a while now to justify their OFAC and the US sanction policy. And also, this isn't the first big mining pool to do that. We had remember Maripool?
Yes,
did this a while back, and then they got an absolute backlash from the community.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a clear and present danger 100%, which is why I believe today was so historic. I didn't realize how historic it was until I really processed what was happening.
Yeah.
What happened today was incredible. This is decentralization in Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, it's imperative that this happen. And what I am like in the F2 Pool situation, what I'm especially aghast by was, after being called out, after saying they didn't want to process these transactions, they quote unquote turned the filter off. That was their own words. And then said, we will respond in the future based on what the community decides. And I said, well, that's freaking bullshit. Have a conscience. Do what you believe in. Don't pander this off. If you believe the community believes that censorship is right, then
compete on censorship.
Then compete on censorship. Exactly. Yeah. And have the balls to say, I believe censorship is the right thing.
It's funny. So this is completely random, but remember when the big blockers of Bcash were forking between Roger Ver and Craig Wright?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I was actually on the side of Craig Wright, because they were honest about their 1 gigabyte blocks.
Yeah.
When Bcash was lying and pretending that they're Bitcoin.
Yes.
Like, be honest about it and compete, because I know they'll fail.
Yeah. But at least have the balls to stand for something, and don't try to. I mean, to me, it's vile behavior. I couldn't agree more. Money should never be used as a weapon or
couldn't agree more.
I mean, that is a paramount, and that's what I will die on this hill sort of thing. But Bitcoin is open to everybody. If you want to be a pool or a block template creator, you can be, and you can censor. If for some reason you were a block template creator and you said, hey, I don't like any transactions created on Tuesdays, so I'm not going to process those because I got bad juju from Tuesday transactions. Say, okay, you're not discriminating against any person. No. You're making your judgment, and the people that are part of your pool or working with you can decide whether or not it's worth it or not. But if you don't like Tuesdays, then fine. But when you start targeting specific individuals and organizations, then I draw the line.
All right. So, Nico, we haven't introduced you yet. This is Nico from Simply Bitcoin. I'm sure you guys know who he is. More of you watch his show than my show. And let me go. Man, it's freaking cold out here. Let me get back to Twitter, and we're gonna pull up Nico or Simply Bitcoin. Simply Bitcoin. We're gonna pull up Simply Bitcoin. Simply Bitcoin will be streaming from the Unconfiscatable conference, guys. If you are not following Simply Bitcoin, you absolutely should. It's one of the best YouTube podcasts we have. Nico, you were out here. I asked the same question to everyone that comes up. How much did you know about what Ocean was building? And if you didn't know much, what do you think about it now? How awesome is this?
So I've known Bob for a while, and I really like Bob.
Thank you. Same.
And the moment that I got the message from Bob, saying, are you interested in coming to this? I knew it was going to be a big deal. I didn't know to what extent, but you know, your intuition starts to pick up on things. And when I saw, you know, I saw Dorsey make an appearance.
Yeah.
And then when the Telegram group got put together, and I saw Tom's name, and then I saw Jimmy's name, and then I saw Max's name, and I was like, something big's back.
Giacomo.
Yeah.
Giacomo. I'm missing a bunch of names, but it was like basically like the Bitcoin community attended today. And then the final presentation, it all started to hit me. And then, you know, when they what's it called? Then they christened the, you know, the project.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was live and that your miners were already plugged in.
Yes.
And then on Twitter, I started to see that people were already switching pools and it was already working.
Yes.
And I was like, holy crap, they pulled it off.
Yeah, we learned a lot today, including that a champagne bottle is potentially stronger than a Bitcoin miner.
What was that? 30 blows to get it?
Yeah, I was gonna send the tweet like, this is what happens when nerds try to break a champagne bottle. Yeah, you should check out the Twitter, the Unconfiscatable Twitter handle. Tweeted it out. I don't know if I retweeted it yet. Speaking of Unconfiscatable, both of these guys are going to be there. They're both speakers. They're Unconfiscatable. Jack is already speaking. I don't want to keep you guys from that. I think it's better for you to keep streaming. If you can find someone else to come and say a few good words, figure the word would get spread better. I don't know if that's being live streamed, and I would love to listen to Jack and Giacomo because I know it's going to be interesting. But I will keep doing this as long as people are watching before the food comes out. So you guys are welcome to stay on, say a few more words. By the way, Bob Barnett is the founder and maintainer of Barefoot Mining, but you have an awesome take on the 3 types of miners: the rabbits, the horses, and the elephants. I heard this on your other presentations. My audience is seeing you for the first time. Feel free to dive in and explain that.
Sure. As I got into the mining world, one of the things I had to do was figure out what was our identity, where was our place in the ecosystem. And I had to start trying to define what the ecosystem actually looked like. What did mining look like?
Oh, boom, right there.
And, oh, wonderful.
Excellent.
So I first started with the elephants, like, because they're obvious, right? The big guys doing 50 megawatts and 100 megawatts, and they get all the publicity. You know, they're big and mighty. It's impressive. But the truth of the matter is, bringing up one of those sites takes a long time. It takes forever.
You're talking about an elephant.
An elephant, yeah. So we're talking elephants right now. So they're very difficult to bring up. They take a long time. They take massive amounts of capital. From the point that you start to the point you actually come up, the world has changed dramatically, right? Because you're talking 12, 15, 18 months for these things to come up. So that presents a problem, especially as somebody, you know, trying to get into the business. The point of capital deployment to the point where you're actually making something, that money's tied up and it's doing nothing for a long time. But the thing I really didn't like about the elephants was that they're so easy to hunt. Because I spoke about this today, but I think we have to look at Bitcoin through a 1,000-year lens, as best we can, and that's difficult, right? Because you go back 1,000 years, where were we? We're in the 1100s, and you know, we're building castles and moats and things like that. But Bitcoin I believe we're trying to be the money for the next 1,000 years, and that's the only way we can properly think about this. Well, the elephants, when the attackers come, they're going to be the easy ones to hunt because they can't move. They're easy to identify. You know exactly where they are, and whether it's blowing them up with a bomb or hitting the kill switch and turning off the power, you can disable them very quickly. Now the rabbits are on the other end of the spectrum. Those are the plebs, the person who has an S9 in their garage or a couple S17s out in a shed. Those are the rabbits. There are millions of them. They're very hard to find. If somebody were to start hunting rabbits, they'd find they would scatter, right? You'd never be able to hunt and extinct out all the rabbits.
And taking one out doesn't change anything.
Doesn't change anything.
And it's not economic, right? Just to
attack them.
Correct.
Right.
To attack them. So they're really important collectively.
Right.
Individually, they are.
Like in Australia back in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
When they took over the country.
Yeah. The horses are the middle ground. They're big and powerful, but they're highly mobile. You guys were at our site today. That's a container. If something were to happen with our energy source or South Carolina banned mining, well, we pick up at least that part and we go somewhere else.
Yeah, move
Right.
the container.
We move the
And South Carolina loses in that situation.
Yeah, they do. I'm not sure why they would do that. And by the way, part of the reason that Tone mentioned, we mine off grid through hydro. We do not connect back into the grid.
Right.
So when we have excess power,
Like, the only reason they know you exist is because you did an event here and they know. Like
Right.
otherwise they would have no idea.
right. And that was, a decision that we made, like
To help the Bitcoin network.
to help the Bitcoin
We gotta do
network.
what we gotta do.
gotta do
This
what we
is
gotta
why
do.
people know my face.
Yes. Yes. And so, but these horses, one of the beauties of horses is that we can go from the point of deploying money to being up very fast. I did a 0.5 megawatt site in less than 5 weeks earlier this year. So put money in, less than 5 weeks later, we were producing Bitcoin, both for ourselves and for our investors. And so the horses have some of the attributes of the rabbits. In other words, if somebody started hunting horses, we could scatter. They'd be hard to find to begin with, by the way, as you said. So, and I have several sites.
Right.
Somebody puts a gun to my head and gives me a choice of life or death. I guess I have a decision to make, right? Do I cough up where all our stuff is or not? But I have that choice, right? I can choose that. Right now, I'd probably choose to live, honestly, but
You're
But-
95.
but I'm 95. Yeah. But I'm getting old. I'm getting old, so that time frame's coming out. So there's these three sizes: the rabbits and the horses and the elephants. But there's a second vector, which is: are you captive or are you wild? And in simple terms, you could think of captive as being on grid and wild as being off grid. And I changed the terminology in part because I think one of the problems with Bitcoin is we have pandered too much to the power industry. I put a slide up today that said Bitcoin doesn't care about grids. And I think a lot of people have gotten to the point of justifying Bitcoin because of all the positives that it has done for grids. It is true that that's the case, base load, demand response, all those sort of things. That is not the reason Bitcoin exists, though. We should not justify Bitcoin because of what it does for the grids. That's a second order effect, third order effect of what Bitcoin is. And so what I say is, captive means you are beholden to somebody else. Somebody else must give you permission to mine. And wild means I'm in control. I am sovereign.
Yeah, it's no, and it's a big deal because I loved your presentation today, Bob, where you have a huge portion of the hash rate, and it's gotten better since the China ban, right? To be clear, right? You absolutely want those at least in the States rather than China, right?
Right.
So at the time of the China ban, sorry to interrupt, we debated this on the podcast, I'm always the contrarian voice, even on my own podcast. Like with Giacomo and Jimmy and Mechanic, I was always the guy is like, I'm gonna throw a wrench in here. I was not happy with the China ban because I actually thought that it was good that Bitcoin mining was 60-70% in China. It feels like it's centralized, but the mining was in China. Now everything is in America. The mining is in America. The developments in America. All the nodes are in the West. The East and the Global South ain't running nodes.
Yeah.
All the nodes are in the West. And the Bitcoin concentration is in America, which worries me a lot. And Mechanic touched on that, or somebody touched on that.
I think it's Giacomo.
Giacomo touched on that earlier. Like Bitcoin concentration worries me. Like that's my argument against the Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin concentration. So I actually like the fact that all the mining was taking place in China because in a way it helps decentralize the network.
Yeah.
No. I just, the reason I felt uncomfortable with it is just the stance by the CCP against it. And I think that any authoritarian government, and you see the US kind of heading down this path ever so slowly, they can't have something like Bitcoin existing, right? So I think, look, Max Kaiser says it best. You know, the more people attack Bitcoin, the stronger it gets. And I think you were mentioning this in your presentation as well. I think Bitcoin's meant to be attacked, and I think that every attack that it survives, it just gets stronger. And speaking of the China ban, real quick, in my perception of Bitcoin's history, if you put in like the most influential moments, you have the fork wars. I put the China ban right underneath that, because it was the first time in Bitcoin's history where the hash rate dropped by 50% or more, and just by Bitcoin's mere incentives alone, without any central authority telling these entrepreneurs to plug in their ASICs, just like, wow, we should plug in our ASICs right now because the rewards are so high. You had this mass migration of equipment going from China to the United States. That was a big effing deal. And that, you know, we knew that in theory, but we never saw that in practice. And it was amazing.
It's another attack that Bitcoin survived very nicely.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna close off on this. It looks like they just finished up, and everyone's gonna sit down for dinner. So we are gonna wrap it up on this. You had a slide as part of your presentation. I'll let you go inside.
Nico, thanks.
Nico, do me a huge favor.
Yeah.
Can you steal one of those little trays with the cheese and the salami from the bar, not from the tables?
100%.
Bring it up.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, that was freezing.
Yeah. So you're used to this, right?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. And let's talk about this, because I have made the argument, because there's this FUD going around that what happens to Bitcoin when the subsidy ends?
Yeah.
When the Bitcoin subsidy ends, and realistically, the subsidy ends in 20 years. Okay. In 20 years, you are mining less than 1 Bitcoin, and everything is being sustained.
I would say more like 12 even, but
yeah, maybe even 12 years. Yeah.
Well under 1 Bitcoin at that point.
And everything is being sustained by transaction fees, as Satoshi mentioned in the white paper. And it's possible that Bitcoin is $3 million and, you know, a fraction of a Bitcoin is sustaining it. But realistically, it's being sustained by transaction fees. And you had a slide that projected rabbits, horses, and elephants into the future, 2030, 2040, 2050. And your projection actually had the elephants slightly increasing, very slightly, from 52% to 57%. I have a decent memory.
The captive ones, but I did have wild elephants coming by. But go ahead.
Potentially, but they're still elephants.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have always mentioned, because my answer to the question, what happens to Bitcoin when the subsidy ends? My answer has always been, Bitcoin becomes more decentralized in the form of rabbits. Now, I didn't use the rabbit analogy because that's your thing, and I didn't even know about it at the time. But my view has always been, these big mining farms are only sustainable while they are profitable. And I personally believe that around 2050, Bitcoin mining will actually cease to be profitable. My argument has been, because people are like, well, what happens to Bitcoin mining when it's not profitable? And my argument has been, I agree with you. At around 2050, sweet. I'll put it right here. Around 2050, all right, guys, we're going to eat as well. Around 2050, Bitcoin will cease to be profitable. So what happens next? And my argument was, when Bitcoin is no longer profitable, mining, that's when it becomes decentralized, because Bitcoin will be so necessary to not only people's life in their savings of their wealth, but corporations in their like operations, that mining Bitcoin becomes a necessary expense for your life, similar to running an internet node.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so people are like, well, what's the incentive of running a node? And I'm like, well, what's the incentive of you buying internet? You run an internet node. Does the internet provider pay you to run a node? No, you pay them to run an internet node. Why do you pay them for your internet in your house when you are not even home?
Yeah.
Well, because you need the internet so much that you're willing to pay for it, because without it, you have no life.
Right.
And I see the same vision in Bitcoin, where everyone runs a Bitcoin miner at home to keep the network alive. Netflix is running a mining farm at a loss because it allows them to avoid credit card fraud. And they are now all over Africa by people paying into a QR code, and they're earning an extra $1 billion in revenue. So what's the big deal on spending $250,000 on a Bitcoin farm at a loss? That's always been my view, that the elephants are going to go away and more horses and rabbits are going to appear.
I think so I don't actually disagree with you a lot. Maybe not at all. I think we're dealing with probabilities, right? So everything's a set of probabilities. First thing I want to point out is the chart that I put up earlier today that you're referring to. I put that up as a goal, actually not a prediction necessarily. The specific word was goal, that I didn't want the elephants to be any bigger than that. That was actually the primary purpose of that slide, because I won't bore the audience with it right now, but those who want to dig in deep, there's an article I did called Satoshi's Heel in Bitcoin Magazine. I won't grab one. Which just says that if there becomes too big a concentration of elephants, we have issues. Okay. So I want to make sure they stay down in that less than 2/3 of the network at all times. If they do, then we're cool.
Shit, your microphone died. No, okay.
Okay. So that's one thing. Second thing, I believe fees will become face-meltingly high. So that's where we may depart a little bit. And it's just a prediction, right? It's just a prediction. So I believe that right now we sit on a precipice of block space scarcity, where we're right at a threshold point. So right now, the mempool has been backlogged for 7-8 months now, completely, right? Like,
it sucks.
like completely full, right?
Kill me.
And every single block is full, right?
Forcing me to use Lightning, which I've never actually used.
So, which I think that's part of the incentive, is to push people to that direction.
Freaking ordinal.
So
No, I'm kidding. I don't really.
well, no, it is. I do not support ordinals, but I support their right to exist.
Agreed. We're gonna do a panel on this and debate this at Unconfiscatable.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. But I think what we're seeing right now, I give this example. Bear with me for a second, guys. So pretend I have an apple tree, and this apple tree produces 100 apples per day. And it happens to be the only apple tree in the world. And at a given point in time, demand for those apples is 95 per day. In that situation, apples are still really cheap. Now, the moment there's 101 people that want apples, the price skyrockets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I believe where we are is in Bitcoin, there's two dimensions. There is, yeah, right. Yeah. So that's where we are. We're sitting there at 95, 98 apples. And there's also a time element, right? You know, do you want an apple today or are you willing to wait till tomorrow? Like that's the thing we have at Bitcoin. But basically we're at this point where we're at that point. And let's understand that we're doing that with probably well under 1% of the world's population on Bitcoin. So I believe in the next bull run, we can, we'll see when that really happens. I know Tone and I talked about that today. Next week, we're hoping for the bull run. But when that happens, when the ETF happens, when these different things happen and drive demand up, you know, we're going to go from the 95, 98 apples to 100 apples to 120 apples to 220 apples of scarcity. And we're going to see a face melting fee structure that won't regress. Right now we're in a period where it kind of ebbs and flows and we go through very high periods and very low periods, but there will be a point when it doesn't regress. And personally, I think we'll see it in the next epoch. That this is my prediction. Some of you may disagree with me, but my prediction would be that as we get toward the end of the next epoch, that fees will typically exceed subsidy and miner revenue. Meaning 3 to 3.5 Bitcoin in fees per block.
Like when I have to pay a large fee, I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm supporting the mining network. I'm supporting Bob Barnett right here and Barefoot Mining, right? So I never have a problem paying a high fee. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, we should probably wrap this up. But the next time I have you on a podcast, we're gonna talk about one of your tattoos, which we had a long conversation in the car. And like if I ever get a tattoo, it's gonna be like Bob's tattoo. And but you guys will have to wait for our next interview.
All right. Thanks, Tone. Great to see you, man. Thanks for coming.
Later, man. All right, this was awesome. I couldn't get Jack Dorsey. Maybe next stream. But yeah, I gotta wrap this up. I need to go warm up. This is a freaking insane. Thanks you guys for watching, and we're over 38,000 again. It's awesome. Please follow Bob, but also follow Ocean. I'm gonna pull it up one more time. For those that are watching, if you end up reaching out to Bob or to Ocean, let them know that Tone Vays sent you. Everything is an honor system around here. Bob Barnett of Barefoot Mining, and of course, the organizers of this event, Ocean_mining. Follow them on Twitter and check out their website, ocean.xyz. It is the future of mining pools. This is the private event we were just at, and they are one of our sponsors at Unconfiscatable, and I couldn't be happier for having this particular sponsor. So I can't wait. I've been supporting them, and since I heard about this months ago, and finally can talk about the project. Thank you, guys. See you all on the next one. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Tone.
Oh, thank you.
What's going on, man?